what is bodhisattva? There's the great absolute bodhisattva, and then there's relative bodhisattva. Perhaps we may be able to understand this more with the relative bodhisattva. Relative bodhisattva may be more understandable, more accessible to us. Of course, with every examples, we should understand that there are limitations. It helps us to illustrate a point. The example here is you have the moon and you have the water on the ground. So the moon represents absolute bodhisattva, and the reflections of the moon in the water is relative. So for us, we see Buddha and we are inspired to become the Buddha. The relative bodhisattva represents the path, and the absolute bodhisattva represents the goal. We developed our own relative bodhisattva to achieve the ultimate. So that's the goal. From the beginning, the two are different, but at the end, when the path leads to the destination, the two are the same. But the beginning of the path is not the same. But you move along the path, when you get to the end, you can say they're the same. The path and the goal are the same. But at the beginning, you cannot say that. We need to take this with extreme care, because otherwise this can be a serious mistake. It will destroy the foundation of our spiritual life, meaning that if we see that the path and the goal is the same, then I don't need to do anything. I'm destroying my own foundation because I'm not putting effort into it. So they're neither the same or different. When one does not put in the efforts to reach the goal, thinking that they're the same, then the foundation of cultivation is destroyed. Even though we know that they're the same, that we should still put in the effort. We know that they're different, but that doesn't mean there's no relation to us. The reality towards which we are progressing is not foreign to us, meaning that the bodhisattva, although we don't have it, but it's not outside of us. It's not in us, it's not a personal possession, but it's not outside of us either. If it was, you couldn't progress towards it, right? If you didn't have any kind of relation to it. So in a sense, absolute bodhisattva is the absolute dimensions of something that's already within us, experienced by us in a relative manner. Bodhisattva is more than a thought. It's more than just emotion, a thought of enlightenment. But it's transcendental, it's supra-individual nature. It's dynamic, and that's the will to enlightenment. Bodhisattva is not inside us, but it's some sort of a cosmic will of nature. Again, this is just an example that we should not take literally. Even though there's the will at work in the universe of this bodhisattva towards liberation and enlightenment for all sentient beings, but we should not take this literally, because it's not like something out there is controlling us. We're not being controlled by this bodhisattva somewhere out there in the universe, that we relinquish our freedoms, that we're like a robot being controlled by this bodhisattva. And those of whom the bodhisattva takes possession, as it were, those in whom this bodhisattva arises, or within whom it manifests, become bodhisattvas. So it isn't that you become a passive machine being operated from the outside, being controlled, but you're being transformed into something transcendental. Transcendental that is developed in you, comes into you. For example, you care about somebody very much, and they ask you to do something. So if the task that you're doing, is that their will or is it your will? You want to do something to help somebody who has asked you a favor. When you do that task, is that your will or is it somebody else's will? Well, it's difficult to say because it's a combination of both, right? You somehow make their will to become your will. You help them because you're happy to help them. Because if you didn't ask you to do something, you wouldn't have done it. But you went ahead and did it because you care about it. So you made that will to become your will. So it becomes blended with yours. Or we read from the Buddhist scriptures and we aspire to follow the bodhisattva path. So we take that and we make it ours. But it didn't come from us originally. We learned that from reading the sutras. But now we have turned that into our own motivation. Not only your will, but Your whole being, your emotions, your thinking become one on the path. To the extent that transcendental dimension has entered into your existence, your phenomenal being transforms into being of a bodhisattva. You'll become a being of enlightenment. And that provides the basis of your whole existence being transformed. And it becomes blended with us. What does this mean? How do we achieve that? How do we realize the bodhisattva ideal in us, the bodhisattva in us? Well, we have to really put into practice. You can't just read books or attend lectures, read scriptures, and say you have the bodhisattva. But you have to put into practice and you have to experience it. Or your whole thinking, your whole being has to be on that path too. So we should not take bodhisattva to be a sort of a doctrine or a theory, but it is the spirit of enlightenment. And that is transcendental experience. It's something that moves us and stirs us very deep inside at a very deep level, but it doesn't exist on the physical plane. For example, like your dreams. When you're awake, you don't remember your dreams. And when you are dreaming, you don't have consciousness of your physical body, of your daily life during the day. But yet, doesn't mean your dreams are not you. And when you're awake, doesn't mean you don't have dreams. But your dreams don't occur at the physical level, but yet that is part of you. And also, you sit in meditation or you're in a meditation retreat. When you sit in meditation, it doesn't look like there's much going on. But in our mind, our consciousness is being transformed. So we don't see it on the physical plane, but at the level of the consciousness, it is changing. Mahayana Buddhists feel there is a need to illustrate this higher level of existence. There is a necessity to illustrate because we, out of this physical body, on a physical plane, we don't see our mind, but it does exist.